To a certain degree, I've always known that I was LGBT. I feel like I never really knew like the words to describe it. Like the education was never there, but like from a very young age, like even before preschool, when I was like 3 or 5, like I, would wear dresses, and that was kind of just something normal for me. And it wasn't until later where I started like really feeling like more ashamed about that and having those things taken away from me. So I feel like I only really knew the correct terms or like started to understand the correct terms until I was like in early high school. I feel like most of everything comes down to education. If these things were taught in schools, if schools were made for preparing a society for a happy, beautiful, healthy life, everyone would be so much better off. If we looked discrimination and all of these things that we are experiencing as problems in our society right in the face, and we educated our children and the next generations about those things, they would blossom into the most beautiful, amazing society that we could ever dream of. And unfortunately, that's just what it comes down to. Like, for me and my happiness, like, I had so many things taken away from me when I was a child, and for a while, I blamed my parents for that. But then after a while, I realized that I can't blame my parents because they weren't educated. They have no access to that education. I think governments are responsible for most of the education, and I think they should be responsible for that education. Like, I think the internet is going to help, and as generations come, I think maybe that's why my generation is more educated. It's because of the internet, but like, I feel I'm tired of people having to educate themselves. I had to educate myself. I had to do that by myself. And it was my responsibility as a child to not only educate myself and learn about myself and figure that out over years, but I had to educate everyone around me. That took a lot out of my childhood. To have to go to my mom and my dad and my sister and literally everyone in my family, my friends, who didn't know anything, to have to educate them to feel valid. That took so much out of my childhood. I lost part of my childhood, like, just sitting there educating people. And, like, to a certain degree, that's something LGBT people have to do. They have to educate. They have to sit down. They have to have interviews like this to change the world. But is it their job? No. I'd rather be working on my business. I'd rather be living in my true life. But unfortunately, these are the only things that change the way the world works. It's a constant fight. It's a constant fight. And it's really sad to see, like, I feel like straight cis culture, like, they think, like, oh, slavery is gone, like, I got my bottom surgery, so, like, society must be good, like, cool. It's a wrap, guys. Like, no, we still have so much work to do. We even have so much work to do within our own community. There's still not enough education in our community, let alone the rest of outside of the LGBT community.